Oh, you guys said it back. Thank you. I'm Riley, and I have a fear of failure. All right, this is not a 12-step program on how to deal with fear of failure, but if it was, how many of y'all would sign up today? Yeah. Actually, how many of you have a fear of public speaking? Yeah, that's me. So who wants to switch with me? You can come up here and talk for 10 minutes, and I can go sit down. Yeah, there's no hands up. Yeah, totally fine, guys. I've got this. But honestly, failure has always been one of my biggest fears. And I think the most traumatic moment of failure came for me when I was 15. My mom signed me up for Japanese because she thought Spanish would be too easy. So 2 weeks into this class, I'm sitting there with everyone, and my instructor looks at me and says, "Riley-san, you make me question my abilities as a teacher." You make me question my abilities as a teacher. It's fine, not traumatic at all. Don't remember that to this day. We're good. But failing is sort of like breathing. It's something that we all do. Maybe for you, it was a test or 2 or 3 growing up. Some of you have never failed a test or had to take Japanese. Please keep that to yourself so we don't have to escort you out of this room. Or maybe it was a house project that your wife asked you to do and it ended up looking like that. A Pinterest fail, that's like every day of my life. Maybe you vomited on the first date. Don't laugh, that's real. That's really real, guys. Or maybe you felt like a failure just getting to church this morning because you forgot to have your kids brush their teeth. I know, you made it here. That's the one. But it's easy for us to laugh at some of our failures. But if you're like me, you've had some moments of failure that aren't so funny. Failed to get that job or that promotion, a relationship, the loss of a dream or opportunity. You felt stuck in what feels like the same place for forever. Nobody hopes to fail, because when we do, we feel rejected, unworthy, exposed. We fear those feelings, so we learn really early on to fear failure, because fear and those feelings go together, right? So it makes perfect sense. If we fear the feelings brought on by failure, then we should be afraid to fail. And that fear drives us to not take any risks, because if we never fail, then we never have to feel like a failure. And if you're like me, you've had some things happen to you where you think it's completely reasonable to not try. When I was young, my parents divorced and my dad left my life, which is enough for anyone, but I wasn't given a reason. I wasn't given an explanation. I wasn't given anything. I thought I had done something wrong. And over time, the word failure wrote itself over my heart, and it began to dictate a lot of my choices. I can look back at so many things I wouldn't try or relationships I wouldn't enter because I thought that failure and rejection was too great. So hi, I'm Riley, and I'm afraid to try stuff because I'm afraid to fail. Not trying things has kept me from failing, which has been great, but not trying things has also kept me from a lot of potentially great things. Like, I wonder, how many jobs have I missed out on? How many opportunities could I have had? How many great relationships have I missed? For me, failure has never been a risk worth taking. But here's what I've learned about being afraid to try things. You don't just miss out on relationships and jobs and opportunities. You miss out on something much more significant. And James, the brother of Jesus, tells us, and y'all, we can trust James on this topic because he was the brother of Jesus, and Jesus never failed. So can you imagine spending your whole life trying to live up to Jesus? Yeah, some of us are still in counseling because we could never live up to our older brother or sister, and they were not that great. They were not Jesus. So here's what James has to say about difficult moments in life, moments like failure. Dear brothers and sisters, when troubles of any kind come your way, times like failure, consider an opportunity for joy. Joy. Hold on. For you know that when your faith is tested, your endurance has a chance to grow. So let it grow. For when your endurance is fully developed, you will be perfect and complete, needing nothing. We know this is true in other areas of our life, right? When we were tested and we stuck with it, we grew. So while none of us would ever choose failure, if James is right, facing our fears is one of the best things we can do, and avoiding our failures is one of the worst things we can do. So what's on the other side of our fears? On the other side is maturity. On the other side is God teaching you about himself. On the other side is growth. On the other side is stronger faith. In those moments when we walk through our fears, God is waiting to meet us there. James didn't see trials as bad. He saw trials and failures as opportunities for growth. You grow more in losses than wins. You grow more in being uncomfortable than comfortable. You don't learn how to trust without risking something. Fear limits you, but failure grows you. Fear limits you, but failure grows you. So here's what this means for you. In your life, you have nothing to lose. If you succeed, awesome. If you fail, you're gonna make it. Either way, you're gonna be okay. The biggest loss and regret we'll have isn't failing. It's allowing the fear to control our lives. It's the fear that harms our heart, not the failure. So go for that job you want. Apply for that school. Go on that date. Make that phone call. Walk away from that relationship. Say yes to that opportunity, or make that move. Maybe the question we need to consider is this: what would you do if you were absolutely certain that God was with you, and you believed that everything that happened is rooted in his love for you? About 5 years ago, I found myself having to answer that question. I was living in California at the time with dreams of working at a church just like this, and I attended a conference where I met some pretty incredible people who happened to work at this church, and that meeting led to an invitation for me to intern at Woodstock City. But that invitation also meant leaving California and moving to a new place and working at a church where I didn't know anyone. The thought of that scared me to death. But I also remember that I was at this point where I thought, why not? I was so tired of letting fear control my life. So I took the internship, moved out here, and everything worked out perfect and magical, and here I am. Yeah, no, that's such a lie. God was with me, but he didn't pave an easy path. It was really hard, and it was really messy. And I was scared more often than not. The first year, I thought I had made the worst decision of my life. I was almost fired from my internship. Did y'all know they could do that? They can fire you. Yeah. I made plans to move back to California. And you know what? That's what my fear and insecurities wanted me to do. I just kept telling myself, if you stay, you might keep failing. But I stuck with it. I did my best to choose growth over fear, but I remember there would be moments where I would feel so alone, where I would just cry in my car on the way home from work. I felt so lost in God's plan for my life. Why would he open a door like this and allow so much pain? Why wasn't it easy? Looking back, I can't imagine what would have happened if I walked away from it all. I can't imagine what would have happened if I walked away from my fears and failures instead of walking through them. My life today is definitely not perfect. I'm a young leader learning how to lead people and also have the personal life of a 24-year-old. And I still fail, just like I did when I moved out here. But I'm learning to not let my fear of failure keep me from going for different opportunities and trying things. Because when I do, it robs me from experiencing the life that God has designed for me, all the joy and all the pain. Because I'm learning that fear limits me, but God is using failure to grow me. So, hi, I'm Riley, and I'm trying to not let fear call the shots anymore. Thanks.